There's beautiful intentions, and it's good that we set course. Always good when we set course, and to set course in not just for this today, and for tonight, but in your whole life. And then not just in your whole life, but for every single area of your life, because we just repeat conditioning over and over and over. And there's things that we just can't see. So having a weekend like this, where phones are off, we've put all the people aside, and yes, there's a beautiful connection between the four of us, and we're holding a beautiful energetic space. It is, the safety is for you to go within, and it's for you to just let go and just surrender in the moment. And as much as I am presenting or facilitating, it is also the same journey for me. And I've had a deeper realization of that for myself yesterday with one of my clients. Because I felt something in the session, and I stepped out of the session. I was like, I feel like this is the journey that I've walked with this person is over, but I don't know what to do with it. And last night she had the courage, and I really admire her courage because I know her journey that she's on. And where she said, like, something has changed while we are hovering. It feels like there's a ceiling happening. So, and then I realized, and I could feel it as well. So you can trust what you are feeling. You can trust what is happening on the other side as well. There's always a two-edged sword, as below, as above, as below. It just doesn't happen one way. There's always a play to it. So the journey that you guys are embarking is, I have my journey that I'm embarking, and I like to be aware of those energetics at all times. So with that, thank you for this. Thank you for this space that you guys are allowing us to come into your home to journey with us. Thank you, Ryan, for organizing the venue for tonight. I am very excited to see where that. The last time was already a beautiful venue, but I can just see that space looks like stunning. And thank you for each one of you for the journey that I've walked with you over the last 7 months. When I came to London the last time, the intention was Aaron wanted to somehow incorporate mindfulness into the box. There was physical training, there was nutrition, but bringing that in. And then, we had the workshop, and it was amazing, and people were open, but I never thought it would go from the workshop to the challenge into, walking a path with people with wellness coaching. And also not with the people that it happened. It was Aaron's friends. It was the people that he really resonated with, the way we would resonate and have conversations with. So how that naturally unfolded, that is just how the three of you unfolded, and like what has happened there. And that's how I like to live life. I like to be patient. I set my intentions, and I choose joy. First of all, just choose to ease up, just relax, and then move towards joy. Because as soon as you can relax, so that before we get to relax, before we surrender, it's usually stress and strain, or there's this, you are attached to something, or you're resisting something. So you're in this world and you're locked into this reality. But as soon as you relax, there's an expansion. And as soon as there's an expansion, you tap into your higher self. And now you have options. Now you can start thinking, what would be a joyful experience in this situation? But while you are in stress and strain and you're contracted, you cannot. And I had this beautiful practical experience when I got here. I landed, and what it would have been, so I've learned from it, but would have been ideal is that I would land, but not just land in London. I need to take time to land within myself. And for me, that means, I need to meditate. I need to maybe go for a nature walk and go grounding. But it happened exactly the way it happened, because there was a lesson in it. We landed, it was late, it was the traveling, the next morning was the workshop, then it wasn't long, it was a WOD, then in the workshop, then Ben Boma. So I was playing the game, but I wasn't, attending to myself. And it had a lot of things that started happening and I just didn't feel. So that's the contraction. That's when I'm in the stress and the strainness of it all. And then slowly it started loosening up, and I realized, Mitzi started telling me, like, dude, you don't look yourself on the screen. What is happening? There's no fun here. And then obviously it came to the moment where Aaron and I could have a conversation on Monday, and that was the landing. I could just feel as we were having this conversation, and he called me out on a couple of things, like, oh shit, yeah, I'm in a trance. I'm having a bad trip. Like literally, I'm having a bad trip. And that was the wake-up call. And then the expansion could happen. And it's not to judge the the contractions and the expansions, because that's exactly how the universe works. That's how actually life works. It's seasons. The heart contracts and it expands and it contracts. The universe contracts and it expands, and with every expansion it keeps on growing. They can track it. It just keeps on growing. And that's the same with us. We will find these moments of contraction and we will expand even more. And over time, we can hold that expansion a lot longer and ride that wave. And you guys are in this beautiful opportunity where you are in the beginning of what you are doing, and you can ride this wave for as long as you can. And the way you do that is just be honest with yourself every part of the road, every part of this journey, the specific journey, because this is a love relationship, is to just be honest on the smallest of things, like, because you are feeling life energy, you're feeling the rawness. Sexual energy is life energy, same thing. You're feeling it, it's there, it's palpable, but you can feel when your mind wants to start negotiating and try and convince you to feel bad, like, hey, that you think of this, what about this? And that's the moment where you challenge it and say, like, oh my goodness, wait a minute, I don't want to sacrifice this. I want to hold on to life. I don't want to go to the death. I don't want to go to where things are going to go down. And then you challenge your beliefs and you alchemize the emotions and those type of things. So these things keeps on happening. This is how life will happen. We don't judge the contractions and we don't judge the expansions. You don't make the expansion matter, because they don't matter. They are just there to take us through the process. So with that, my journey started with the gym. Even before that, the reason why I like starting with the 10 keys of functional wellness is because they came to me as I stepped into the gym. I just didn't want to give people a gym membership. I wanted to give them something bigger. So I had these 10 keys since I was like 21 years old in a diary for myself. And then every now and then I had a workshop and I would remind people. Nobody was really open to it because it was just so simple most of the time. But I had them, they grew with me, I took them into CrossFit with me, and they would always support my life. They would always support my health and wellness. And my physical journey started when I was 15, 16. We were walking down the corridor, and my brother and I had a bit of we're bumping heads, and my brother was very sharp on his feet with words. I always thought he was going to be a lawyer, and he would say hurtful things because he just knew it could cut through to me. And he just called me a fatso. I was walking past him, and in that time, I probably had a bit of extra flabbiness on me. I wasn't in shape. And that was a pivoting moment, because my brother gave me that gift of, I could take this very personal, or I can actually take this and make something of it. And it was a week or two, and I joined the gym, and I started training. And it was the same gym Oren and I went to, and that was the gym that I bought 4 or 5 years later. But I started chipping away and just discovering how do I keep this thing in shape, and what would it do for me. And that was a journey of 18 years in total. And that's when I was introduced to the world of self-healing, because that's when I got my frozen shoulder, was the right side. I'm working in my journey on masculinity. This last year has been profound for me, and the insights are, so my masculine side was already drawing my attention, and I got this frozen shoulder, got involved with a little lady called Visi, and short lady, oh my goodness, and body stress release, and the chiropractor couldn't help me. I had to go for surgery, and she just, somehow I got to her and she worked on me, and within the first session already, there was shifts within my body that I didn't know it was possible, but it took a year for the shoulder to heal. But in that year, she just introduced me to this beautiful world of religion mixed with energy, mixed with chakras, mixed with everything is okay, just love yourself. And I'm like, what is this about? I flourished, and she became like a mother to me. And that inspired me to step into body stress release, more into the world of self-healing. Did the course for 5 months, which was a 5-month sabbatical, lived in a little cottage, stepped away from my familiar world, which is the town of Germiston. I never moved further away from my parents than 3-4 kilometers, always being with them. We would touch base, if not daily, but at least once a week, and a dinner. So I was very in my family dynamic, and whatever that might have been. not wanting to step out of that because it was not safe. It didn't feel safe. But you have to step out. You have to step out of your, not just the conditioning, where you can't see the conditioning until you step out and move away from the energy field. A prophet is not being recognized in his own town. You cannot do miracles in your own town. And life itself is a miracle. For you stepping out of the mundane, out of the same programming, it is a miracle. Because there's a lot of people that will never experience that in this lifetime. Experiencing their authentic self. They will have glimpses of it and they'll think, how amazing this just glimpse was. But you can literally live that authenticity every single day. You can live that joy and that bliss every single day. And so I stepped out of it, and there was a sabbatical for 5 months, and it was not fun. It wasn't pleasant. I was in the most beautiful of places, and I lived in this beautiful cottage, but there was lonely times. And then you start facing the parts of you that have been suppressing for so long. But I had guides with me. There was a friend, Jean-Pierre, that I sat next to. Oren has met this guy, in a brilliant mind, and deep, very deep, and he's had a spiritual journey for 20 years, and he just dropped little seeds, and I would listen, and I remember now, 2015, he said, Jaco, you are going to become a teacher. I can see it, I can feel it. You are going to have people in your house gathering one day, and they're going to, in whatever format that will be, and you are going to, it is just part of who you are. I can see it, I can feel it. And I was like, that was so far away. I was a bodybuilder. I liked my body. I was in my mind about things. I was a player at that stage as well, and just want to have the fun stuff, parties and stuff like that. Anyway, went through the process. Through that process, I started realizing that I don't want to go back to Joburg. Gave up my businesses, got the opportunity to buy a practice, and I just stayed in George. And that was the next level of getting to learn myself, because now I wasn't part of 26 people and a group. I moved into a house where I had to start looking after myself and be with myself. And that was the first time ever in my life. And so I stayed with my parents until I got married, 26. Then I moved out of the house with my wife. I never had that moment where I stayed on my own, cooked for myself, and just be myself, just figure out who am I. So I went through some dark times in 2016. And interesting how life works, because my youngest daughter picked that up somehow. She was living in Joburg. And she, at the age of 4, went into a tiff about needing to live with me. And it was it's impossible. But I stuck that 2016 through until I got to a point where I realized, oh my goodness, I can actually have fun with myself. I can cook a meal. I can shop for this meal. I can have a glass of wine while having this meal. I can put good music on. I can have a date night and watch a movie and just read. You just go into this like, I'm okay with being myself. Start having a relationship with myself. And that's when she joined me. And she was there for about 2 weeks. And that's when I met Ashraf. And Ashraf he called himself a psycho-spiritual scientist. Psychologist that figured out spirituality on a scientific way. And that was the first time when religion made sense in spirituality, and then where spirituality started making sense to me. Because he had an A, B, C, D, E recipe. It's like, dude, they talk about meditation, this is where you start. And when you've solidified that, when this makes sense, this is the next step you take, and the next step you take. And I remember starting with his meditations and being knocked out completely, just falling asleep. And I didn't even reach 7 minutes or 5 minutes. And I just built up my stamina. I built it up to 20 minutes, started enjoying being still in my body and relaxed. So I'm feeling the sensation of being so relaxed. And then slowly recognizing how that sensation that I get in the stillness practice, how it presents itself in life. Like I start eating healthily. Oh my goodness, my body recognizes, there it is. I start hydrating. Yes. I sleep well and I wake up and I have this rest. I feel rested. I recognize that feeling. So I could start drawing that sensation into my daily life. And that's where the 10 keys really started making sense to me. Because it was a way of living life. I would lose the grip of it, But when I pick it up again, I'm like, oh, this is what naturally high feels like. And coming from being a raver and a dancer and loving the party life and liking the high of taking drugs and those type of things, I started, and then stopping, for my reasons, is I started recognizing the highs of the drugs that I found it in meditation. And that's when I started researching, and that's the same place that gets activated in the head is meditation. You access the same spark happens in the brain. And meditation, drugs, and sex, you get there. And then sex is the orgasm, not just sex, the orgasm. So it gives you, it's portals that can take you there. It's portal. Meditation takes you into oneness, into source energy, the divine design. And there's certain psychedelics that can take you there. And then with meditation, it takes you there, goes there, and where you can feel that expansiveness, you can access that wisdom. And literally, the more I'm playing around with love making and sexual energy with my partner, I've had some beautiful moments where we would be together, and I'm busy working, and I can feel I need to spend time with my partner. It is time now, and I put everything down, and I have a couple of questions hovering in my brain, and we would engage, enjoy each other in lovemaking, and in that moment of orgasm or in that moment of lovemaking, the answer would just come to me. And it's this beautiful realization. And so then I started realizing it is the same as meditation. We just have to enter the space. We just have to allow ourselves to be nurtured by energy, by source energy, by the high intelligence. So that's when the 10 keys started making sense. And that's why I always start with the 10 keys. Because they're so basic, but people kind of miss them. It's just revisit them often, bring them into your body plan, and prolong our hover there. And that was my journey, and that's the journey of self-healing, and as well support the body to self-heal. And then I met another teacher, and he kind of told me, yeah, it's all good and well, you got these 10 keys, you're looking after your body, you look amazing most of the time, like what do you do with it? I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying it. He says, yeah, but there is something more that you can do with it. Well, he says there is a greater purpose to it, and he gave me his recipe, and that was where clarity of body and mind. So we detox and energize the body and mind, and that reduces the distraction so that we can do the inner work. So we can do the alchemizing. Because many people are so distracted by their minds, are so distracted by their bodies, that is what they need to pay attention. They are in survival mode. They are sick. They're mentally struggling. So it gives you so you can be present. You can go within. You can do that work. And that is one of the other reasons why the 10 keys are so important. That's why the body is so important to us. We only have one body. If they cut off your arm now, there is no arm. We're not lizards. It's not going to grow back, even if we want to. Think of, there's nothing that you cannot use. And when we sit and start valuing the body, just reflect on it. That is a meditation itself. That appreciation, that reflection on, like a nose. What we do with, not just if I breathe through my nose, through my abdominal, which is one of the keys, it relaxes the body automatically. So it's like almost a cheat code in getting you out of fight and flight into your creative brain. But we smell with it, like the most amazing of foods. Being able to come into this room and smelling the wood, it immediately just reminds you of a million things. And our eyes that sees in color, and our ears that hears in stereo, and being able to hold somebody and to pick up a cup. The intrinsic. There we go, that word. If this is so amazing, these things that we can do. Having sensual experiences with the body, all the nerves in the feet, that makes contact with all the surfaces, all the joints that just glide. I mean, if you stand upright, you cannot really stand still. I don't know if you just close your eyes and stand. You can't stand 100% still. The joints are always gliding just over each other. I mean, how beautiful is it that just keeping that balance? Being able to urinate, bowel movement, so that toxins move out of the body. And you just have to drink water to support part of that. just drink enough water, getting fresh fruit and vegetables into your body all supports this beautiful system. So if we look after this body, it gives us this platform to really go in. And then the beautiful part is that the deeper we go in, it pushes back, and you reach deeper levels of health. It just responds to the body. If you follow a lot of social media people, teachers, people that do somatic surrenders and healing work and stuff like that, they will all testify that it just becomes easier to lose weight. You just don't get sick anymore. Skill in psoriasis, or they've been struggling with cancer and stuff. Those things just literally just disappears, because it's all just a mirror of the work that still needs to be done. And you just use it to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So the body is kind of the first step of where we go, when we start the alchemy journal. And because of how important the body is, if you are distracted by a body, you cannot go and do the work. And all it does, it flips us to the third pillar, is what do I do with the work that I do? The inner work. What is the importance of inner work? The importance of inner work is it's not that it's important. It doesn't really matter. You can do it if you want to. You don't have to do it. But it supports, your freedom, your choice, your free will. You have more freedom. You can live life more authentically. Because as you do the work, you are letting go of conditioning. You're letting go of the programming that you have been born into, that you've been given, and that is multiple layers. I've been on this journey. The other day I remembered, since I've been 20 years old, I met a lady called Anna Eleonora. She was a teacher, trained to be a psychologist, and now she became she was my second personal training client ever. I had a guy called Bernie. Oren has met Bernie. And as well. Yeah, goodness, and she just became my other client, and there was this magical journey of somatic surrender. So when I do the alchemizing process, it took, and this is when I thought about it the other day, a 3-hour session to alchemize something, and it was a deep journey. And I can alchemize now in literally 3 minutes if I want to. But back then that just shows you how humanity evolves, because a lot of people now can alchemize with 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But where humanity was, the depth of how we were in our minds, and 20 years later, we have the ability to just alchemize a lot quicker. So I met her, went on this journey. She went to Australia, met Brandon Bays. I don't know if you guys know Brandon Bays from the journey. She was kind of the front runners of how to alchemize. She had a tumor as big as a football in her tummy. She thought she was pregnant until they did a scan, decided she's not going to do any conventional medicine, and all she did was healthy lifestyle, alchemize. And she would tap in and go and visit that tumor every single day and ask it, what do you want? What do you need? I'm allowance of you, and just flooded with unconditional love. And I don't know how long the period was, but she reduced it completely. Then she became Brandon Bays, and she had this technique. So I met Eleonora, and I was 20, and she took me through a journey, not just introducing me to what she needed to do. She needed a guinea pig, but from there, one of my bodybuilding competitions, she monitored me, my internal world, through that process for the whole 12 weeks of dieting. So that was beautiful things, because a lot of judgment about myself came up, especially why I was doing bodybuilding, my judgment on fat people, and in one of those, and I remember this the other day, Marina, how much I judged a friend of ours that was bigger than all of us, but I had a judgment, but that judgment belonged to me, and it affected me, and it was part of my journey of, I would pick up a lot of weight, and then I'll lose a lot of weight, and I would just pendulum. There was no, just hover, just enjoy your body and just be there. You don't have to, be in these extremes. Because we all are in some areas in these extremes in our life. So I went through that, and then when I went through my divorce as well, she was very prominently there, and then she set me off and solidified what I had to learn from her. So I could see all these little clues of what I'm doing now is all coming together, and it makes me who I am now. And that's the 10 keys, and bringing us into the body, and then really bring you back into your body. So maybe a quick pause. And I want you guys to have a look at your 10 keys. And just for a moment, reflect, just see where you are at with that. What are you doing? What are you not doing? And explore your whys. Yeah.